Alright guys, today's video, I got two short boxes from Heritage. I'm not going to go through all the books, they were both full. One's basically all Spider-Man, the other one's basically all Batman. So stick around, we're going to go through these. I'm not going to go through the little transition screen this time, so we're just going to get right into it. Don't forget, still giving away X-Men 1 when we get to 2,500 subscribers. So leave a comment, that gets you entered to win. The more comments you leave, the higher your probabilities of winning are. So let's go ahead and get through this. I kind of went through these and pulled out some of the, I guess, keys, some of the books that have some value to them. We'll go through them one by one. The first book up, this is Batman Sword of Azrael #1. This is the first appearance of Azrael. These are all very nice, high-grade copies. So this book's probably a $10 or $12 book, nothing crazy. But it is the first appearance of Azrael, so that's important. Next book up, this is Batman 400. Some of the cool stuff on this, it's got a nice Bill Sienkiewicz cover. I really like the cover on this book. Let's get a better lighting for you there. It also has an intro by Stephen King. I think it's like 2 or 3 pages that Stephen King wrote the intro. So anniversary edition, Batman 400. This book goes for around $20 to $25. And again, these were all included in two short boxes. Next up, Batman 489. This is the second appearance of Bane. So Bane appeared a little bit in Bane of Vengeance 1. Then this is the story leading up to him breaking Batman's back. So Batman 489, second Bane. This is a $8 or $10 book, probably nothing crazy. A lot of books from the 90s. It's hard to get high values on them. This next book, almost every comic collector has owned or seen. This is Batman 497, and as just referenced, this is the issue where Bane does break Batman's back. Surprisingly, it actually is starting to go up a little bit. It's a you see it for 10 or 15 bucks usually at conventions or in comic book shops. If you look hard enough, you can pick up a copy for $5 or $8. But again, this is basically a flawless book. Nothing wrong with it. I'm sure if I sent it in to grade it, it'd be a 9.8. Not going to grade it. It does have the black and white. This is a half cover. It kind of halfway wraps around. So again, I mean, they made, I think they had 3 prints of that, and that whole Nightfall run was pretty popular when it came out in like 92, 93. Next up, Detective 647. This is the first Stephanie Brown. She actually later becomes a Robin, one of the 5 or 6 Robins we've had. And again, it's a $15, $20 book, nothing too crazy. So first Stephanie Brown, who becomes Robin later on. This book is not that valuable at all, but I love it. This is one of the reasons I bought the collection or the auction. This is Smurfs #1. It's not really a key. It is a newsstand, which isn't. It isn't easy to find a newsstand copy of this. It's probably a $5 or $10 book, but as a kid, I loved the Smurfs. As a little kid, like 4, 5, 6 years old, the Smurfs were really cool. I think they were created in like Sweden or Switzerland, somewhere, some Scandinavian countries where the Smurfs started, and they got really popular here in the U.S. Alright, next up, Doctor Strange 48. This is the first time that Doctor Strange meets Brother Voodoo, who, I've talked a lot about on this channel about Brother Voodoo. I think he's an underrated character that, for me, is always a spec. I always pick up key Brother Voodoo books. I think he's going to be in the MCU at some point. I think he's a great character. So this book's, it's about a $30 book. It's not, not chump change, but nothing crazy. It's got the cool 80s art. I think this came out early 80s, like 82, something like that. So first time Doctor Strange meets Brother Voodoo. Next up, Fantastic Four 238. This one's kind of interesting. This is the first Aunt Petunia. So if you're a Fantastic Four fan, Aunt Petunia is Thing's aunt, Ben Grimm. So this is the first time she's ever in a comic book. It also tells the origin story of Frankie Ray. So that's also prominent for Fantastic Four stuff. And this is probably a $15, $20 book. Nothing crazy. Not a dollar book, but nothing too high end. Next up, Fantastic Four 247. This is the first time you meet Doctor Doom's son, it's an adopted son. He does later become Doctor Doom. I think they played with that story for a little bit, and then they kind of went away with it. You know, if there's an adopted son of Doctor Doom in the MCU, this book would skyrocket. I don't think that's going to happen, but he does later on become Doom. I think like 20 issues after this, and it's a $10 or $15 book. It's a cool cover though. I really like the cover of that book. Next up, so this is a dual key book, I guess. Key, not key. So this is Fantastic Four 252. Obviously, you can see the cover's horizontal, which no one did that. But what's even better about this book is this has the tattoos insert. So this is a good supplier. If you have a Spider-Man 238, I think it is, without the tattoos, you can get this book very cheap and go in and get the tattoos out of it and put them in a 238 if you have a 238 without tattoos. I don't know what CGC's opinions are on that. I've done it before. I've never got a purple label. It's not hard to do at all. You just go in the middle, open up the staples, slide them out, slide the cover off, take the tattoos out, do the same thing with the 238, put the tattoos in, put the staples back. The key is just making sure that you put the staples back very well so they don't look like they've been replaced. A lot of times their identifiers for replaced staples is the way they're bent. And not necessarily that you replace the staples, but you could get dinged for replacing the staples, even if you use the original staples. So, again, the horizontal cover, it's about a $20 book. Nothing crazy. Again, the tattoos are the big thing there. It's a good book. I think there's like 8 or 10 books that had those tattoos in it. This is one you can usually find. Some of the other ones, like ROM 1 or one of the early ROMs, they're just hard to find. And if you do, the tattoos are usually missing. Next up, Fantastic Four 347. This is the first new Fantastic Four. It's Wolverine, Ghost Rider, the Incredible Hulk, and Spider-Man. The next book you'll see is a pretty famous cover that kind of is their first cover. But this is the first appearance of the new Fantastic Four. It's about a $10 book. And then this is the first cover of that same group. This is about a $15 book, a little bit higher value. This is Fantastic Four 348. I think they only stuck with this team for like 4 or 5 issues, and then they went back to the original team. And it was all part of the story. But this is a pretty good cover. I like the cover a lot on this book. I think it's just good artwork. It's Art Adams did this cover, so I like his stuff too. Yeah, about a $15 book. Next one up. We've seen this one lots of times. So this is Batman 386. First Black Mask. He makes his mask out of the coffin from like his deceased dad or something. Pretty big key for modern Batman stuff, but it's about a $75 book. This is a really good copy, nice high grade copy. I'd say it's probably a 9.6. I probably won't have it graded, but it's still a really nice book. Good key to have. Next up, Dark Knight Returns number 3. This is the first cover appearance of Carrie Kelly. You can see her down here, this side, down here in this corner. She's a new iteration of Robin that came out in the Dark Knight Returns books. And this is loosely what the movies were based on for the Dark Knight movie. The Joker does die in this book, but it's like an alternate reality, so it's not like a real death. There are 3 printings of this. I think maybe 2, and on the inside cover on the indica underneath Warner Brothers, so it says Warner Brothers, it'll say first or second or third printing on this book. And this is a $20 to $25 book. This next book is a very interesting book. So this is Dark Knight Returns number 2, and I'm pretty confident this is the second printing. It's the first appearance of the mutants. It's about a $75 to $100 book. The second and the first printing are very hard to differentiate. The third printing actually says third printing. It's noted on there. But so on this one, the second print had a typo or a misprint, and it didn't actually print the second printing underneath that indica where Warner Brothers is. So some of the key ways to tell on this book if it's a second printing, this area and his skin. On the first printing, they're a lot more like vibrant in color. This is actually just a brighter orange. His skin is like redder. It just, the colors in general are more vibrant, which makes me think this is the second print. Again, I'm not confident that I'm correct. CGC's not great at these either. They basically value, when you look at the prices, the first and the second prints usually stay around the same price, I think, because there's so much confusion. The other big way that people can tell this, and I'm not going to open it, but when you open this book up, there's a gray, there's like a Batman logo on the back of the cover, and there's a gray, and the first page that's facing it is also a gray. If those grays are almost exactly the same color, that's a first print. If the gray on the back of the cover is much darker than the first page, that's a second print. But even with that, there's some variation in printing, so some of the later first print runs, the colors may have faded to make them look better, so it's really hard to tell. And I've seen lots of people argue both ways, whether it's a first print, whether it's a second print. I'm pretty confident, like I said, by the cover of this one, that that's a second print. But no way to confirm it. It's just my opinion. And it begins, still $7,500 book. Next up, Dark Knight Returns #1. This is the first Carrie Kelly. She becomes Robin. Frank Miller art. The original art for this page sold at auction, I think, last year for like $3 million plus. And it's really not fancy art, you know. It's a lightning bolt with a blue background and a silhouette of Batman. But yeah, sold for $3 million just because of, this is a very iconic book. This was kind of a Batman starting over, you know, the Dark Knight returning and no longer being Batman. Really big key series. It's a 4-book series that came out in I think the late 80s, possibly early 90s. This is like a $200 book. Same thing with this. They did do first, second, and third print, and I'm pretty sure they're all indicated on the inside cover. This is a 9.8 candidate. I'm going to look it over really well. If I think it would get a 9.8, I'm definitely going to send it in. I may send it in if it looks like a 9.6. I probably won't if it's a 9.4. But yeah, we'll see. I'm going to go through it, check it out in a little more detail. Last book up, we spoke about this one earlier. So this is Batman Vengeance of Bane #1. This is the first cover appearance and the first appearance of Bane. Bane's a pretty big deal in Batman's world. We saw earlier the book where he breaks his back. That's a pretty important storyline, very well-known storyline. Raw copies of this are all over the board. Basically, a 9.8 goes between $300 and $400, and a 9.6 is about $150 to $200. This is definitely a 9.8 candidate as well. I will most likely send this in and have it graded. It is a square bound book. It does not look like it's ever been read. Because on a square bound book, if they've been read, you'll see like a color breaking, like, or a crease right on the inside where people open the page. This doesn't have that crease, which means it probably wasn't handled much. It probably was just stayed in a case. So definitely a good candidate to send in for a 9.8. I'm pretty optimistic this will get a 9.8. So again, I got all these books. There's a whole bunch of other ones that I'm not going to go through. There's almost a full run of Batman Adventures from 1993. That was the Harley Quinn first appearance run. Obviously not, there's no Batman Adventures 12, but there is, I want to say 1 through 11's there. I mean, 1's not a bad book. Nice run of Copper and Bronze Age Amazing Spider-Man. So again, there's another good haul from Heritage. Like I mentioned before, I feel like I get really good deals from Heritage stuff when I buy it. Their packaging is fantastic. And overall, I was really happy with this one. I knew most of these books were in here. There was a few surprises, but for the most part, I knew what I was getting. A lot of this stuff, I didn't know what I was getting. And there's, you know, good fillers, good run fillers. I'm working on Amazing Spider-Man, filling that run. Working on some of the Detective from the 400s and 500s. There's a lot of books from that in there as well. Thanks again for watching, guys. I do appreciate you stopping by. Don't forget, leave a comment. Get a chance to enter for a chance to win X-Men #1. And we'll keep pumping out videos. Like I said, pretty much every Wednesday, I'm hoping to have a new video out. It's I might get 2 in a week. I don't know. The next video I'm going to do is actually a Hot Toys unboxing. So we're going to be opening up a Hot Toys. So if you've not seen in my room in the past, I have a whole bunch of Hot Toys 1/6 scale figures around the top of my room. I'll probably show some pictures of that. Step by next time. We'll go through that. I got a brand new one that I'm really excited about. It's been 2 years on waiting just for it to be ready to deliver, and it delivered. So thanks again, guys. We'll see y'all next time. Have a good one.